mute this and then get us onto this. All right. Good evening, everybody. Matt Geary here for the Geek Pride cast on this Sunday evening. With me tonight, we have another special guest, but my co-presenter, we have Peter Ray Allison.
Good evening, everyone.
And our special guest is Adam Colclough, aka Jimcredible.
Hello there.
So, Adam, for everybody who doesn't know who you are, and your awesome blazer that you got on right now, for all of you who can't see it, it's a Marvel blazer. Is it Marvel?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, just want to make sure before I get crucified.
Oh, do not get that wrong. You do not cross the streams, man.
Yeah, do not cross the streams. So tell us who you are, what you do, what's your thing?
Well, hello, I'm Adam. I go by Jimcredible. I started off as a cosplayer, mainly as the Joker. I say mainly, I think I've done 2 other costumes that I've probably only worn once, so it was a lot of the Joker. And then that evolved into me becoming a host and event coordinator for a range of events, but mainly Sci-Fi Weekender.
Okay, big question is, I've only ever known you as the Joker. Every event, it's a Joker. What else have you cosplayed as?
So I cosplayed as Ace Ventura a couple of times.
I can see that.
Go on, do it.
Full pink tutu and everything.
Do you know the lines?
I haven't done them for years. The who, the her. Like a glove.
You definitely got the isms there, man.
And I also did Jean from Ruby. Bit of a random out there one. I just really liked the character, and it meant I could have a little bit of armor.
No, okay.
Was the armor something you designed and built yourself, or was that commissioned?
It was, well, I'm rubbish at making things. I'd love to say I was good at making things. I'm absolutely not. The armor itself was made by a friend of mine, and everything else was just basically clothes that were slightly adapted.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, because I mean, I can see you doing a very good Ace Ventura. You have kind of that natural face fit for it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've always had the kind of face.
Oh, amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah,
amazing.
the elastic face comes into quite a lot. It comes from my kids' party days. The whole kind of make any child from the age of like 2 to 6 laugh without saying a word, and if you can just pull a silly face.
Kid party days?
Yeah, so I did kids parties for about 4 years in my early 20s, which makes me feel so much older now. And that's where Jimcredible came from.
Oh, okay. So what did you do? Was it like what sort of entertainment was it?
Disco games. I arrived with flashy lights and large speakers and plied the kids with sugar, and then they handed them off to their parents at the end of a 2-hour party.
So you're part of the problem. You were part of the problem.
Yeah, essentially it was, right, kids, let's get hyperactive, and your problem now. That was essentially my job.
See, that's
as a parent of 3, thank you so much for that.
Being a child myself, I get on very well with kids, and I can sort of get on with them, but it's very much a case of I can hand them back at the end of the day and stuff. So when they're being assholes, I'm just like, all right, you can have them back now. I'm done.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks.
Yeah, that was my fun from that job. Just the kind of, I got to mess around like a child and then not have to worry about the aftermath.
From someone who would have to deal with the aftermath, thank you.
So tell us some more about Sci-Fi Weekender, Area 51. Is that as well?
Yeah, that's the main company that I work for, and it's Area 51 that do all the entertainment for Sci-Fi Weekender.
Right.
We bring in most of the entertainment anyway. So Sci-Fi Weekender, funnily enough, it was the actual first convention that I went to. I got dragged along by a few friends of mine, and it was that convention that so I went to a dressmaker. Sorry, I'm kind of side storying the side story.
Okay.
Went to a dressmaker that was a friend of my mum's, funnily enough, and was like, "I would like a suit, please." He was like, I haven't made a suit since I went to like what's it called? Fabric school, not fabric school.
Design school?
Design school, yeah, let's go with that. She's like, that sounds really fun. Made me the Joker suit, and I went to Sci-Fi Weekender in the Joker. And then I got picked up by Galactic Knights because they realized that I was a very loud, annoying person, and they like having a loud, annoying person around. Yeah, and then the next year at Sci-Fi, I went with the Galactic Knights. I ended up taking over the organizing of the cosplay competition. And I had a very stressed person come up to me. I'd like to say I don't remember this part of the story because I was a few drinks in at the time, but I have been told this part of the story later on. I had a very stressed person come up to me saying, "What's happening here? Who's organising this competition? What's happening? What's happening?" And I just turned around and said, "Mate, chill the fuck out. I've got this shit," and walked off. And it turned out that that was Matt Page, the director of Area 51. Who a few months later sent me a message that was something along the lines of, "So I remember you being a bit of a dick, but then I remember you saying that and thinking he best have this now, and then it was done. So I've got a job for you if you want it." And since then, I've been working with Area 51 and helping out with sci-fi stuff. But for those of you who don't know, Sci-Fi Weekender is, I mean, to say it plainly, probably the best convention in the world.
I think it's not really a convention, though. It's more of a festival. You think about typical convention, it doesn't fit that mold. But you look at like a festival, which is basically just a massive geek party, or as it became known, Space Butlins.
Yes. Oh,
and yeah, it's just basically a massive geek fest. And so it's not really a convention. I mean, there's nothing like it in the UK at all.
No, I mean, we do the convention-y stuff. We've got the celebrities. We've got the celebrities, we've got all of that kind of fun times, and the stalls and things like that, and the usual things that you see at a convention. But then nighttime rolls round, and we put real entertainment on for everyone. Yeah,
I mean, like, you've had some great entertainment. There's some great bands on, like, you know, Flesh Tetris. You've had Doctor and the Medics, who just completely brought the house down.
Yeah, they were fantastic, actually.
Darth Elvis, who was just incredible.
Blues Harvest are a personal favorite.
Oh, I love Blues Harvest. They're really good.
Yeah, and I mean, we've had Level Up Leroy.
Oh yeah, we had him on the podcast. Yeah.
Oh, just
we got.
I mean, that guy can get me dancing for hours. Hours.
This is going to be very random, but it was MCM Manchester, right? I've put a link in the the Skype chat. Yeah, if you direct yourself to 2 minutes and 5 seconds and 2 minutes and 34 seconds, there we have a Jimcredible answering some questions by a very thin Matt Geary from MCM. And what year was this? 2015.
2015. Wow,
6 years ago.
Yeah.
That would probably have been my first MCM, maybe.
Really? Well, yeah, you're in your Joker outfit, and I'm asking a lady dressed as she's in. It's like, I'm not sure if she's meant to be. She's like one of the like Captain America sort of showgirl type. Ones when he's doing the show, and you're beside her. And it's basically Marvel versus DC Geek Pride big question that we used to do when we did the MCMs. And there you are. And it's like, I know this guy from somewhere. I'm really bad with faces, but I'm really bad with names, but I'm awesome with faces. Like, I recognize people really easily, but it's just like names, just yeah. But I was like, I've seen this guy before. And there you are.
I mean, when I first got onto the scene, I was basically just like a rash. I made sure I went everywhere. I tried to hit the con scene hard to begin with. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, like I've not been to one in a very long time. You're there. You're back again at 257 as well. But I've not been to one in a while. But yeah, I really enjoy it. More so for the the atmosphere, and if you're in London, just sort of drinking, going to the Fox and having a few bevies, and generally talking broken biscuits to random people. But I do miss it. You ever been to any American conventions?
I've not. I would love to, but I've not. No, I've never had the chance. And life kind of got in the way a little bit now.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? Just I was planning on going on my 40th birthday this year for a fly drive across the estates to, do start off in the East Coast, do some sort of historical battlefield type stuff because I'm a nerd like that, and then end up in San Diego for the Comic-Con, and then go off to Vegas for the end and stuff. And unfortunately, my mates had to postpone his wedding because of the whole COVID thing, and it's this August, so I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I think he'd be a bit annoyed at me if I sort of prioritise my 40th over his wedding. So there it is, going that. And I believe you had COVID. I believe you've had COVID.
Yes, I was unlucky enough to get it very early on. In March time, I think it was.
Right on the button there.
Yeah, because I swear I got it at the supermarket. This was before masks were mandatory and all that fun times. But the only place that I was going to the supermarket at the time, and I got hit with it pretty hard, if I'm completely honest.
Oh wow.
Day 7 or 8, I came downstairs feeling worse than I had. To save the gory details, I picked up on a couple of things that shouldn't be happening. Ended up in A&E with an X-ray of my lungs and a doctor telling me that I had early stage pneumonia, and they threw antibiotics at me.
So I take it you're completely over it now and don't have any kind of ongoing or lasting symptoms or anything like that?
99% I'd say I'm completely over it. Every now and then there's like a weird pain in your chest that a few people who've had COVID say that they have, but it's not anything kind of that holds me back.
Oh, good.
So I do have a really weird, great story if you want to hear it.
Oh yeah, go on. We're all about the weird, great stories.
On that day. So for anyone who's had COVID, if it hits you, the only way that you can actually get around is by hyperventilating, because your body just doesn't have the oxygen to you or anything. The day that I went to hospital, I was sat in the bed after being admitted and everything and having the X-ray. And I was like, I still feel faint and really bad. And like, what's wrong with me? And I was like, wait, I've been hyperventilating since I left the house because I'm like, I need to hyperventilate to move, to do anything. It's like, maybe I'm just going to, try and slow my breathing down. Maybe I'm completely faking it now. I've hyperventilated. I'm all in my own head. I've clearly made everything that I saw up. This is nothing. So the doctor comes over about an hour and a half after he's done the X-rays, and the first thing that I said to him was, "Let me guess, there's nothing wrong. I'm completely making it up, aren't I? I'm lying to you." And he just looked me in the eye and went, "Unless you can lie on an X-ray, absolutely not."
So how long are you in hospital for?
Well, all of about 4 or 5 hours, something like that. So... The doctor pretty much came up to me and said, there's the shadowing on your lungs that you normally get from COVID. There's a nice big black area that's the first stages of pneumonia. I'm going to give you 2 antibiotics and buy a thermometer. And he's like, you're a young enough guy, you're fit and healthy, you don't want to be in hospital. We're going to send you home, but you've got to take your temperature every hour. And if at any point, for any reason, your temperature goes up, come straight back here. So, then it just became watching my temperature. And thankfully, the next day, temperature started coming down and I started getting better. And the rest is history.
Thank goodness, mate. It was shocking. And it really kind of brought the whole pandemic home when one of my friends has COVID. And it's not just the symptoms, but it's been hit hard and has got pneumonia and all the other horrible symptoms. And he's just like, no, this is real. This is happening right now. And it just really brought it home.
Sean Wallace had it. You know that? and he got quite ill. That's why he hasn't been able to get in the podcast and stuff a lot, because he's been suffering a fair bit with it. Which is hopefully he's on the road to recovery, but he's been really struggling with it. The barking. We'll move on.
Is that a dog by any chance?
Who is insistent on me playing?
Oh,
my dog. I had a big meeting last week, and my dog decided to choose that very moment that he wanted to kick off. And I was just like, oh man. And he was certainly like, I'm going to play right now. And I'm like, I've got a fucking meeting. Get off. So what sort of dog is it?
It's a collie crossed with an Australian cattle dog.
oh wow.
Yeah, we got her the 3rd week of lockdown.
All right, okay.
Yeah, me and my partner, we've been talking about getting a dog for a while, but we're both performers. So we got no real time to put. So we had time to take care of a dog, but we definitely didn't know that we had, say, a set 4 weeks to train up a puppy and get it exactly as we wanted. And all of this happened. Yeah. We were just looking through the dog websites one day, and Tiger was going to be a working dog on a dairy farm. But because of COVID, they were having to get rid of all of their dogs.
Oh.
She was pick of the litter. She was the only brown one in the litter, because Australian cattle dogs are normal the blacky blue color.
Mm-hmm.
All the rest were black and white. And we just met her, and yeah, we were having a conversation on the way, and it was kind of like I turned around and said, well, if she jumps up and starts trying to lick my face, I know that'll be the puppy that I want. And Naomi had said all the same things, and literally the first thing that she did was run up, jump on my lap, and start trying to lick my face. And I was just like, oh, I need Tiger now. This needs to
Okay, can we meet her?
Yeah, she's just been pulled upstairs. I'll see if I can whistle her down. Headphone warning, I'm going to do a pretty loud whistle.
All right, okay.
Careful.
Hands on ears, everybody.
Come here. Here she comes.
I hear thunder, 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 thunder.
Yeah. I'll move
for everybody who's listening to
this,
this,
my room
we're about to see the hound. There she is.
Oh, that is a very nice tiger.
She has ball. Life is bat ball. Tiger. Chin. No, chin.
Oh.
Can we do it on camera? Tiger, chin.
Oh. Wow. Yeah, my dog would not do that. My dog literally doesn't do tricks. He's very much yeah, I don't think so. He just gives me dirty looks most of the time.
Right. You have to bring it to Sci-Fi Weekender next time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I want her to be my little performer.
We've got Urban Trooper on YouTube says we miss Sci-Fi Weekender.
As do I, sir. As do I.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen the Urban Troopers at any other event, but just seeing these guys biking around on BMXs in black suits and Stormtrooper helmets.
Yeah.
It's just great. I love those guys.
I've never been to Sci-Fi Weekender. It was one of those sort of on the list to do, but life has gotten in the way recently, so I've not been to anything. So when this all blows over, maybe I'll make it to the next one, eh?
Definitely. Yeah.
I can't imagine the party that we're going to have when we can finally have a party in that room again.
Everybody walking around licking everybody's face and stuff. I could do this now.
That always happens at Sci-Fi Weekender.
Yeah, for anyone listening who's not been to Sci-Fi, imagine about 2,000 nerds in a room, most of which drinking, all of which are the most lovely people you'd ever meet. That's the only way I can sum it up. The first time that I just went as a punter with a few friends, and I think I knew about 30% of the people that went. Like, just from you walk around, you start a conversation, and now that I've done 5, maybe 6, maybe more.
I've lost track number of times
I'd be willing to say that there is maybe 80% of people in that crowd that I have at least had a good conversation with, or I've had a drink with, or we've sat down and had some food at some point, or just everyone knows everyone, and it is just the loveliest group of people in the world.
Yeah, because I remember the first time I went there was like Sci-Fi Weekender 4, maybe. So fair to about 6 years ago ish, and I was bunch of mates won some tickets. I tagged along, and I was absolutely blown away by it. I was like, this is the best con I've ever been to. And I've seen all these guys doing this fantastic stuff. Look, I'm going to write about this because I was writing about it for another web. I think it's actually just started with Geek Pride. And
so I was going to say another website, Pete. Another website. Oh my God. My heart. Mine heart.
Sorry. No, and basically, so I approached the PR person at the time and said, listen, I write for Geek Pride. Who does speak to kind of get some interviews lined up, and started speaking to people and got some interviews with Virginia Hay, actually with Matt Page of A51. And yeah, just basically, this just really is a fantastic event that needs, it needs success. I mean, it doesn't need success, but like I just wanted it to really succeed and really to flourish. Like, I mean, you never ever see another event like it. I mean, where else will you find for stopping an unmarked police car?
Oh yes, that was at Sheffield.
Exactly.
Oh yes. Oh, where we got to the end of our pie there, haven't we? And we all just
basically it was about midnight
in Sheffield. Yeah,
it was about midnight, and we were all still in the mood, so to speak. And I thought, Corporation Sheffield, we have to go there.
Wow, I've not been to Corporation in years.
It's again excellent rock club, and so we all started stumping all over to Corp and need to cross the road, which was a bit busy at that time. And I can't remember exactly how it happened, but 4 stopped in the middle of the road and shouted something like, "Stop for I am 4." Unfortunately, the car stop was an unmarked police car.
Uh-oh.
And we had a lot of explaining to do.
Wow.
Oh, it was a beautiful time. I mean, where else in the world? I've bought Ensign Kim a pint.
Yeah.
Ensign Kim from Voyager just happened to be drinking in the bar, and I'd walked up to the bar and just yelled and was like, "What are you drinking, mate?" There you go. Don't know if he ever finished it. Don't know if he drank it. Didn't really talk to him that much. It's just now I can say I bought Ensign Kim a pint.
What's his name? We saw loads when we were in San Diego for the Comic-Con. There was like, you literally just would bump into random sort of kind of famous people and stuff. There was like DJ Quails or Qualls, is it? Who was in Road Trip, and he was in Big Bang Theory once, I think, and he's been in a lot of things. You know him. He's quite a thin guy, thin actor. You'd know him to see him. But he was in the bar that we were always in, called a place called Henry's Pub, and he was just sitting there all the time. I didn't talk to him, but I was just like, that's DJ Qualls or Quails. I'm bastardizing his name at the minute, but he was just sitting there, just kind of talking away to people and stuff, and I was just like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, that, to be fair, there's a few times that we've tried to sort out celebrities for the event, and we always try and walk the line for who do we think will be great for people to be around. Obviously, you want the kind of star power to be there, but at the same time, it's kind of, who do we think is going to be there and enjoy it the most? Who do we think is going to be there and actually, we'll go, okay, screw it, I'll go for a drink afterwards. Where are we going? Kind of thing. And that's what we aim for with everyone that goes there. Not just, we just want everyone to be in one room and just loving life for a weekend. Yeah,
you have kind of like, there's people, it doesn't matter the star power, it means like how engaging are they and how much entertainment, or like how just fun and friendly are they.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had Emily Booth, who's just an absolute lovely person, and just, if you ever get a chance to chat with Emily, she'll tell you loads of tales about
me and Emma were doing
Event Horizon.
Jaeger bombs in the VIP area when she was at Sci-Fi. Not 100% sure how that happened. I just got called to a table. It was Tom Payton and all the cast of, I forget which film it was at the time. And yeah, Emily Booth was there as well, because I think she knew Tom as well. And we just ended up doing Jaeger bombs because
why not? Oh, that was the Jaeger bomb girls, wasn't it?
Oh, that was the year before that. But yes, the Jaeger bomb girls. I had to have a bit of a word with those, actually. I felt a bit guilty.
Oh.
So the new place that we've moved to for Sci-Fi Weekender in Great Yarmouth, they were really keen on showing just how great they were going to be, like how great the site was going to be to have us there, and they were absolutely amazing. But these couple of Jaeger bomb girls walking around, and it was in the second room, and it was during MMORPG.
Oh yeah.
During MMORPG, they were stood at the back of the audience. Jaeger bombs, Jaeger bombs, Jaeger bombs, and I just had to go over and be like, I'm gonna have to be a bit of a dick here, and I'm so sorry. And I was like, I'm sorry, girls. I know you're doing a job, and I know you're really enthused about this job, but could you not while the people are doing their shows?
But that is common sense, to be fair.
I know, it was just...
Whereabouts in Great Yarmouth? My ex's dad lived in Great Yarmouth, so I went once. It took me about 5 hours to get there. Whereabouts in Great Yarmouth?
Vauxhall Holiday Park.
Yeah.
Ah, right, okay, yeah.
Space
yeah.
Butlins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you, the easiest way to say it is if you come in from directly the west, you know, there's what seems like the endless road of cows.
Yeah, there's a lot of cows in.
Yeah, endless road of cows. It's just on the left as you get to the end of that endless road of cows.
Right. Okay.
If you've got to us,
Great Yarmouth,
basically.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a lovely site. They were so nice when we moved there. It was just fantastic.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good site. When you got obviously, because the last big site, well, you had a few in Sheffield, and then before that it was the
Pethwelly.
Pethwelly, yes. That was a trip and a half.
Yeah, I mean her Fanny Moore, and that was a trip as well.
Yeah.
But I've got to admit, I did love her Fanny Moore. It was a
What?
fantastic site.
What's it called?
Everyone was
Her Fanny Moore?
Yeah,
Fanny Moore.
All right.
Wales.
Okay. All right.
Just
Hashtag
pass.
Wales.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just sorry.
It was a great site. It was fantastic. It was just a bit of a shame that it sounds really horrible, but it was just a bit of a shame that they had to ruin it.
Yeah, basically just got a combination of like conflicting priorities. Unfortunately, basically construction work that was going to go ahead in winter then got shifted to a bit later, which kind of clashed with Sci-Fi Weekender, and just cascading series of events, wasn't it?
Yeah,
As I understand.
Yeah, but like I said, Great Yarmouth. I mean, when we first went there, we were a bit like, oh, this could be interesting to try and get sci-fi into it, and then they just basically went, well, every bit of space that you see here, you're more than welcome to completely take over, and we did.
Yeah.
You didn't take over the pool, did you?
No, well, you know, we've got to have somewhere to expand to.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want a pool party. Next time, pool party.
Oh God, a lot of drunk cosplayers in the pool.
I don't see how many Captain Birdseyes there's going to be.
Oh.
Well,
No.
it's quite a you know, Great Yarmouth is literally, you know, it took me about 5 hours to get it from Manchester. So getting people to it obviously is quite hard. So if you get a lot of people, that's quite an accolade basically, that people will go that far to go to a convention.
Well, we're at the point now where the Facebook groups that we've got. I mean, the main Facebook group is just Sci-Fi Weekender. Just Google Sci-Fi Weekender, you'll find it. We have posts that are put up that are, I'm here going from here to here.
Yeah.
Like, who needs a lift? If you don't need a lift, why don't we meet at this service station that's 2 hours away, and we'll all go from there together? And it's all like they organize it all because it's called the pilgrimage by everyone going, because it is a pilgrimage. It sounds stupid, but if I lived in North Scotland, I'd still make the drive.
Just trying to think how far that would be, like 10-hour drive, because it takes me about 4 hours to get to.
There's quite a few in Scotland that basically arranged amongst themselves a minibus.
Yeah.
And just basically completely off the bat, just like, okay, we all want to go here, right? Let's get a minibus, and just all sorted out amongst themselves. And yeah, it was really, really just. That's kind of just exemplifies the nature of the Sci-Fi Weekender fans, really.
Yeah, the whole thing is just. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's all fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's going to be 2022 before the next one then.
We have a November one planned.
Oh right, okay.
So that's all we can do. March one is still on the books, but I mean,
everything.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
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 Well, that's like, I think the most of like MCM and stuff, they've said, you know, all of their early ones aren't going to be. My dog's been an absolute pain in the ass now. He's decided that he wants to be, because I'm not stroking him, and because I've taken it, he's come in from outside. He's just sitting there looking at me, being a...
Boss is just jealous of Tiger.
Yeah, he's just, go away. Go on. Bugger off. Bloody dog. If it weren't for the fact that he was making me money on TikTok, go on. I've got him working.
I've got to ask, by the way, are we watching WandaVision?
Yeah, I've got four episodes in.
Not yet,
4 episodes
I will
in.
be, but yes,
I literally just finished watching episode 5, and I've got to admit, for a good few minutes, I couldn't cope. It was amazing.
Ah, you see, I am sort of maybe not watching it, and I'm not confirming or denying this in legitimate ways, and I haven't got access to number 5 yet. So, yeah.
Well. After the stream, drop me a message and I shall help with this.
Oh, okay, cool.
In totally legitimate ways.
But yeah, so I've been told that. See, the first 2 episodes, I was just like, this is bizarre. I'm just not getting this. And I was just like, and then I was told the third one was like, it gets a bit better. And then it's like, I think you've got to watch it. It's like, it's like a movie sort of kind of in a series and stuff. So, you know, my breath went on to this dog.
What I said to my partner after episode 5 was, I don't know who wrote the blank check to make this random program, but they need a raise.
Yeah, I've heard similar comments.
It's such a weird thing that someone clearly sat down and was like, I want to do a show that's got this, and this, and someone clearly in the back room just went, yeah, okay, go on.
Yeah. I think my purely theoretical hunch is that this is what happens when business and script writing come together. Basically, Disney's got Fox, so they're kind of bringing in the whole X-Men thing, and Disney going, okay, how can we bring X-Men into the Marvel Cinematic Universe? And basically, okay, let's do the House of M storyline.
Yeah,
and just go completely bonkers. But it's working. I mean, what Marvel have achieved with the MCU, which is like 17 plus films, plus TV series, it's just incredible. You've never ever seen anything like that before, ever. Yeah. But what they have done is just fantastic. I mean, I'm just waiting for them to bring in the Marvel Netflix shows as well.
Yeah, well, they're definitely not. They've definitely knocked it out of the park. It's just like I'm slightly worried that they're going to go too far, and it's just going to get super naff, and that's when DC are going to sort of like, you know, they're going to go, ah, you made a mistake, and that's where they're going to kind of pounce and catch up. But
yes, because DC will totally be able to make good movies at some point.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've talked about this before. It's like, you know, Joker was an amazing film. All right, you know, Joker on its own, technically it's a DC film, so you know we can go with that.
That's the thing. The best DC film could have quite easily not been a DC film. It could have just been about generic how a supervillain is made.
Yeah. I loved that. I thought that was so well done.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I loved it. You know, I really enjoyed Man of Steel. As for everything in between, I didn't hate because you know, I like Henry Cavill. I think he's great, and I think, you know, I like Superman. I just wanted to like it, and I think Ben Affleck's an amazing Batman. So I was just sort of kind of hoping it would be better than it was, and as it wasn't, I was just like, But we'll see. Got the new Justice League, the
Snyder Cut. The
Snyder Cut, 4.5 hours or something, is it?
That's a mission.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'm not willing to accept it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Do you guys mind if I talk about my my lockdown nerdy love life?
Go on then.
Oh,
yes.
Nice.
For anybody who's not,
it's so shiny.
For anybody who's not watching this at this moment in time, Adam has sort of produced a shiny box with the words Bloodbowl over the front, and it's the second season, which is annoying because I couldn't even get a copy of that. So I have got.
How did you achieve
Blood
it?
Bowl season 1. I've got Blood Bowl the original. I've got Blood Bowl the second edition with the polystyrene sort of bottoms. I've got the third edition. I've got the fourth edition. I've got all of them bar that one, and it's annoying that I don't have it. I
may or may not have pre-ordered it.
Yeah, I was like, there'll be loads of them. It'll be fine. I'll get it later. I don't need it at the minute. And
then gone.
Gone. Yeah. It's so frustrating. Yeah. And the really annoying thing about it is Games Workshop do sort of kind of smaller releases now. So all the things like I wanted to get my brother some Blackstone Fortress for Christmas, and all the stuff I ordered them were like were like, oh, we need to get more stock in, and they went, yeah, we're not making this anymore. And I was like, oh, fuck's sake. Yeah. So if they turn around and do that with Blood Bowl, I'll be very, very upset.
Well, I'm hoping they seem to be making a big Blood Bowl push at the moment. I mean, I'd played Blood Bowl a little bit before lockdown, but I got invited to join a Blood Bowl league on the game, which I suppose technically now is the old rules, but ignore all of that fun times. Yeah. And yeah, I fell in love so much with it that I got the team that I played on the game in real life straight away.
What do you play? What team?
I'm a Lizardman player.
Oh, no way! Like skinks and stuff like that. Yeah.
I have a fantastic overarching story with my Lizardmen.
Okay.
So the very first league that I played in, I didn't know you could rename the players.
Right.
So all of my Lizardmen were like the generic game Lizardmen names, which are very kind of Aztec-y, lots of Z's and
Z's.
Yeah. And one of the skinks, for those of you who don't know Blood Bowl, by the way, it's essentially American football on a tabletop, but with death.
Yep.
I think that's the best way of summing it up.
Yeah.
A dwarf can punch an elf and kill it. Great.
And then you have halfling teams who just get smushed.
Yeah. So I had a skink who just was called Klitz of Planquin. And very early on, it leveled up and got +1 strength, which doesn't make it the strongest thing in the world. In fact, it makes it average strength. But it just seemed to be that every single time this damn skink made a tackle, it injured someone. So it got the nickname in the league of Klitz the Destroyer. So the next team that I made for the next league, I called Klitz's Pounders, because got to be I've got the word Klitz. Come on. And I had a skink in that called Klitz Junior, who his very first upgrade got +1 agility,
right,
and then just blew through getting more upgrades. So now I have Klitz the Destroyer and Klitz the Missile Junior, who are both these tiny little lizard things. And it's just ridiculous. I love the stupid little stories that you end up making in the teams.
I've got a team which I've had pretty much from day one. Like I don't deviate very much. Even my color schemes are all pretty similar. So it's red, black, and white. And they're called the Maffinian Maulers, and it's a human team, obviously. And I've got them obviously on the tabletop. I've also got a Blood Bowl 2 team, but I got very upset because I was doing quite well, and then a bunch of my sort of star players started getting killed, and I was just like, oh, fuck this shit. The online one annoys me. I know there's no difference probably between rolling a dice in real life and rolling a dice on the game, but it just seems they're just for perpetually killing my characters and stuff.
Yeah. The amount of times that my sure feet guy fails his GFIs, which is for those of you who don't know, GFI is you can go an extra move. If you roll anything but a 1, you're fine. Sure feet means you can re-roll that for free. So I have to roll a 1 into rolling a 1 for him to fall over. So many times he falls over. Oh man,
and then when you don't have any re-rolls left, or you're literally falling over just before the touchline, and you're like, oh my god, no.
Yeah, I'll have that happen against Skaven once. Literally fell over the touchdown line with the ball, which they went to their turn 16, right at the end of the game. He then had 3 gutter runners in perfect position to pick the ball up and run it straight across the pitch to score. I was I was less than happy in that game. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I'm glad that basically with the new sort of the new management in Games Workshop, they're starting to embrace some of the old stuff, because they had all these old games like Bloodbowl and they just discontinued them, and they're starting to bring them back. So you're seeing Adeptus Titanicus, which I'm hoping will morph into Epic at some point in time, and just like, come on, I said, just bring back Epic. They haven't got Battlefield Gothic yet. Hopefully they'll bring that back at some point. But they're bringing out lots of new wee games, and I'm old. Oh, like Gene Stealer Cult and stuff, and all these like old races, and bringing in new stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, it's never a better time to be into.
They brought back Necromunda, which is a fantastic game, but I want them to bring back Dark Future. Cars with guns. That's me happy.
Well, they kind of did with Speed Freaks. The orc thing. It's
Gorka Morka.
It's effectively Gorka Morka, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, the only annoying thing about it for me is that I'm a completionist, and so when they bring out new stuff, I'm like, I need the new stuff. And once I start collecting something, I'm just like, I need all of it. I need every single bit of it, and it's just annoying me, especially when they don't sort of, do it in massive runs, and I'm just like, because I've got loads of Titanicus stuff, and I'm just like, I need to make all of this. And then I've got I've got a load of Blood Bowl teams, but then obviously got the new sort of seasons come out, so I need the new box, and I need sort of the new teams and stuff, and I'm just like, it never ends.
That is a good thing that they've done this time. You don't need anything new to play the new rules apart from the rule book.
Right, so they haven't changed the sizes of the bases and stuff then?
All the dice are the same, all the bases are the same. In fact, I think, don't quote me, I think they've kind of freed up on, as long as the base fits onto the board and you can tell where it is, it doesn't really matter what size it's on.
Okay, that's good, because I've got loads of like second edition stuff as well. Like I've got loads of teams, second edition. I've got a second edition Skaven team, multiple second edition human teams, second edition orc teams, second edition dark elf teams. I've got loads that I haven't seen service in ages, because obviously the newer rules. But that'll be good. But I've got loads of teams.
Games Workshop have been one of the big winners of coronavirus.
Oh yeah, big time.
They proved the old adage that you never actually quit Games Workshop; you just take longer and longer breaks.
That's so true.
I imagine Henry Cavill helped. To be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know one of the other director of Area 51. He does escape rooms, and he was working with Games Workshop to make their I think it's called Immortium or something like that. Their like actual escape room in Nottingham.
Oh, okay.
And he was saying that they were celebrating because their share price had gone from something like £16 at the start of the lockdown to over £100 now.
Yeah, I think it's I could have called that, and I had actually said to I might have said it to my boss, but I basically said, like, for nerds like me and for companies that sort of invest in nerds like me, lockdown's going to be an absolute gold mine, because it's just going to be, you've got nothing better than do. Nobody can force you to go out and stuff. You literally just sit there, you make models, buy models online, and yeah, it just showed you. I'm so gutted I didn't buy some shares.
I was speaking to Fancy, the CEO of Fantasy Grounds, the virtual tabletop providers, and they said, like, in the beginning of lockdown, their user base, their number of members, increased 16-fold in the space of a quarter, and their usage actually quadrupled. And they were struggling to keep up with demand. And like D&D was trending on Google for the first time ever.
Well, yeah, the online, the simulators, like Tabletop Simulator, is
Roll20 and
Roll20. I have got so many games on Tabletop Simulator at the minute, to the point where on Wednesdays we're playing Axis and Allies. We've got a group. I've been playing Star Wars Rebellion on it. I had some games of 40k on there, and a lot of the competitive scene for 40k is moving to Tabletop Simulator, because
They can't meet up.
Yeah, they can't meet up, and that's sort of kind of.
It's not quite the same, though, is it?
It's not the same. It isn't the same. It's still good. You know, it's a good second for what it is. Like I'm when it comes to sort of board games and stuff like that. As much as I love playing, you know, these games online, there's nothing better than having some tangible in your hand. You know, just setting up a game and you know, having something to move around and having a big laid out in a big table and stuff. It's just not the same.
Unless you're playing fantasy and having something tangible in your hand is you removing like 50 models at once.
But see, this is the one thing that sort of annoys me about 40k and I suppose like fantasy. Now they did have the equivalents of this, so they had epic and they had what was it called? What was the epic version of fantasy called? War Master or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but basically, you know, 40k was technically a skirmish game, so you weren't meant to have that many units and stuff. It was like infantry, maybe a few tanks and stuff like that, and you sort of move around the board and stuff. And it was with fantasy, as much as there was like, you know, you had like movable trays of units and stuff. There wasn't that many in the grand scheme of things, but now they're like, because they're pushing all of this stuff, there's so much stuff on a board. You can get so many different units that, you know, it annoys me because 40k is meant to be epic and big and like, you know, expansive and stuff, and they kind of need something like epic back again, where there's like, you can have loads and loads of units. I said to my mate, I said, if they brought epic back, I'd sell my 40k stuff and just get epic, because for me it's about big battles and sort of moving titans around and having lots of like little skirmishy type things around with your infantry and things. And if they brought, you know, because they're bringing back Warhammer Fantasy, if they brought back something similar to that on that scale, I'd be like, I'm all over that. Brilliant. I love that sort of thing. You know, as much as Age of Sigmar isn't a bad game, it's quite enjoyable. I miss the movement tray thing, and as much as you are literally just taking handfuls of guys off the board.
Oh yeah, but there was something epic about. Like, I mean, to be fair, I played Warriors of Chaos, so if I was playing a very large amount of men, something's gone wrong. I had my backup like unit of 50 Marauders that I never played ever because they were a bit rubbish. But yeah, like I know I played with a few people that played Tomb Kings.
Right.
And they just arrive on the board and be like, well, here is my first movement tray. Here is my second movement tray that is also part of the unit in the first movement tray. That is one unit.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, I like the fact that, you know, with that there was, you know, it's sort of, you had flanking and you could take them from the side and stuff like old 40k, you know, you could, you know, at least with tanks and stuff, they had different armor facings, but they've simplified it a bit more, and I can understand why they've done it.
It's all 360, isn't it?
Yeah. So now it's like, you know, they've simplified it, and I can understand it why they've done it. Now they've got sort of different levels. So they've got the skirmish games, which are sort of kind of the easier ones to sort of get into. Then you got 40k, which is sort of intermediate, and Age of Sigmar, which is sort of intermediate, and then you have 30k, which is the Forge World version, which is the old rules. So like, you know, it does have vehicle facings and it is a lot more complicated. And I'm assuming they're probably going to go with that direction with the new fantasy battle when it comes out. You know, having it be maybe more of an advanced game, but you know, why not?
I just remember when Age of Sigmar came out, and it effectively killed fantasy. I mean, it did kill fantasy, literally. They had destroyed the whole world it was set in. But it was such a kind of slap in the face, because I know it sounds, and it might just be personal to me, I quite liked that stupid 200-page rule tome that you used to have to cart around with you, and all the stupid little things that could happen. And it was nice to have that level of just complicatedness. And then Age of Sigmar came out, and it was 4 pages of rules, and we started trying to play it, and it was like, oh, you can do ranged shots in combat. It was, well, can you? Well, there's nothing in here that says you can't, so I guess you can.
Yeah. Well, that's
a lot of that.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. It's like, you know, going from like in 40k, because I do tournaments and stuff. I haven't done one in ages because obviously COVID, but you go from, right, well, this guy's in cover, or this guy's, you know, you can't see him because of this, or you're shooting through this building, it's this, and this, and it's like, well, it doesn't work like that anymore. They've simplified it and stuff. And as much as at the time, it's like, that's super annoying. it, you know, it kind of makes sense because it makes things slightly faster. And I one thing you used to sort of, well, no, I kind of, like you, I enjoyed the complexity of it. But you would literally, I'd be sitting in the Northwest Gaming Centre with, you know, my mate Stuart or something who we play a lot, and it would literally, you would spend a couple of hours just arguing over a rule interpretation because a unique special rule, you know, does that sort of outweigh the codex, or does it outweigh one of these sort of different things? And you had about 4 different things open at once and kind of going, well, this is rules as written, or is it rules as intended? And then it's like, you know, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen in 40k now, it does, but there was a lot more of it back then because there were so many additional rules for you to understand. So it did complicate things. I think that sort of turned off maybe younger kids when it came to playing. I remember when I was a kid, I didn't overly understand the rules that well, so I just let somebody kind of do it for me. But these more simplified ones would be a lot easier to get kids into, and in the end, kids are the ones who are going to buy a lot of the models. So
it's true. I mean, my problem as well. It kind of lends itself, all that complicated everything kind of lends itself to quite a bit of min-maxing as well.
Yeah.
Which, there's nothing wrong with a bit of min-maxing. I know I can get quite competitive, but it had got to the point where I'd min-maxed my army kind of so much there was no point me playing anything else.
Yeah.
Because if I went into a game and lost without me playing the list that I knew was the best list that I could do, and yeah, if I lost that game, it was kind of I lost because I didn't play my best thing.
Yeah. Well,
or if I went in and played my list and won, it was very much like, well, I've won because I've played my list.
Yeah. I have sort of restrictions on myself, because I refuse to play anything that isn't Imperium. I'm literally just, you know, it's not like they're good guys, but I'm Imperium and that's it. I refuse to be anything else. And in that, I generally 99% of the time will always be Space Wolves. And, you know, I quite like Custodes and stuff. So sometimes I'll mix them together. I think once I went Imperial Knights, but I also had I've got Praetorians, you know, the guys in the pith helmets and the red jackets. I made some Praetorians out of Imperial Guard just to sort of ally in because I kind of liked that, and I know there weren't these sort of most competitive lists, but because I kind of liked it, I try and made the best out of what I had. So I've got this thing of the lists I have are competitive for what I've got, but I like using things. So currently, the new Codex is being brought out, and my Wolfen have been absolutely nerfed. And it annoys me because they were my only good unit sort of from the last season. I didn't win any tournaments, but I came third once using Wolfen, and now they're shit. And I still want to use them because I'm just like, well, I like the unit, and as much as I'm not going to probably win, I want to find a way to see if they're going to be useful, because that's how you sort of, you know, people might not think about it, and that's what I kind of go into it expecting to lose, but if I get better.
Speaking of tournaments, though, like tournament play is so far from like actual, even friendly competitive play. It was insane. I went to a tournament. I just happened to be at Warhammer World when there was a tournament being played. And I wasn't particularly massively interested in it. I was there with a few friends for Warhammer World, but I saw that someone was playing Warriors of Chaos in the tournament, and I was like, "Oh, let me go see." And maybe he's using the list that I use, because my list's like I'm always really happy with my list. And so my normal list is a Demon Prince kitted out to be massively overpowerful, Juggernauts or Chaos Knights, who are the best knights in the game, full stop, and Chaos Warriors, who are the best infantry in the game. And I just charge them forward and they kill things. It's great. And I went over, saw the guy's table, and it was literally a chariot, a gore beast chariot, a hero on a chariot, a lord on a chariot, and a chariot. It's all... And that was his whole line.
Yeah, they had a lot of that issue in 40k in the last edition, to the point where they sort of, the Games Workshop sort of started cottoning onto it, where people were I will say abusing the rules, but they were basically doing what they could. But it got to the point where everybody had, all the top table players had about 6 flyers. So they were all like, they had this thing, you weren't allowed to have more than 3 of the same data sheet. So people go, okay, well, I'll have 3 of these flyers and 3 of these flyers because they're not the same data sheet, but, they are sort of the same principle. And it was just like, they were winning tournaments and stuff. Like, I remember going up against a flyer list with my Custodes and just getting absolutely destroyed because he had this thing. It was like a Dark Angels list, and they had this thing where it shrouded them and it gave them a -1 to hit. And because the way the rules were written, you couldn't charge in through the bases. So even though they're in the air, you can't go into the bases. So this thing was invulnerable, and he was just moving around, shooting the shit out of my stuff. And I was just like, okay, I'll just give up now. It's no point. And I kind of like that they're trying to restrict that at the minute. And when new sort of meta comes out, they sort of knock it on the head pretty quickly because they don't want people getting pissed off and kind of, getting annoyed with that, even though it sort of does mean that people will go out and buy a certain unit more often and stuff. But I think they're trying to...
I always think that the perfect kind of meta that they should aim for, because it's so complicated, it's so impossible to know every strategy that anyone can come up with. For me, the perfect meta is if you've got a rock, paper, scissors, and you can have someone come from outside of that rock, paper, scissors, an anti-meta, you've got a good meta there. And if you can keep that rolling, you've done it well.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where it falls down after the dust settles almost.
Yeah, well, you get sort of... thing is, like, it is rock, paper, scissors, and certain armies do beat certain armies, but then you get to the thing where there's certain ones that are just good in general against most. So, prime example is the last sort of tournament I played, which I came 3rd in, I came 6th in, was the top tables were all like knights, and the guy who was sort of destroying everybody, and he actually destroyed one of the, he's a Team England player, and I obliterated him, and he wasn't very happy. A guy called Marcus, he was just not happy, he got beaten by this guy and stuff, but he sort of he was at the top table. Now, he never played Space Wolves before, and he'd never played Wolfen before. And the thing about Wolfen is that they are, at the time, they can charge, they can move, they can charge. They can move, they can advance, and they can charge, and they can get up the board really quickly. So he pushed everything at the front, thinking, well, I'm just going to mow through this guy with my guns. And I literally got a first turn charge on him, wiped out 2 of his knights within the space of a turn and a half. And then the other 2 went down sort of pretty quick after that. And he went, I had no idea they did that. And I went, yeah. And that was my moment, because nobody was expecting it. I was like, and that's why I played that thing, and that's why I enjoyed it, because
it was just complete anti-meta.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And it was just it's horrible. It was horrible against other things. I played against an Eldar list, and they just sort of kited me around the board and shot the shit out of me. But because his thing was literally so concentrated and he didn't understand what they did, I just destroyed him, and it was great. It made me feel good.
It's like the old have you ever heard the old scooter story?
No.
Oh, it's a very famous one from a few generations ago now. It was when you could take bikes, but you could start them off the board. Many generations ago. So you could the common thing to take in the meta was nothing but bikes, start them all off the board.
Oh, is this with the crit? Is this with the crit?
Yeah. That's the one. Run them on the board, shoot everything, drive off. Run them on, shoot everything, drive off. And just watch things repeat. And someone brought an army of nothing but Kroot scouts.
Yeah. And infiltrated them.
Placed anywhere on the board 6 inches away. So just place them 2 inches apart across the back line, which meant he couldn't bring any of his boys in. And there's an amazing picture of Scooter is the one that is the bikes guy, of him and the judge both just nose down.
And the other guy's like, yeah.
Is this right?
Yeah.
You can't get on the board.
Thing
which
is,
means
if
you've
you
not
live
got
by
any models on the board, which means you've lost,
Yeah.
right?
You live by the sword, you die by the sword, and that's
Yeah,
the one
exactly.
thing. You know, like I've got a lot of friends who are very competitive in the game and stuff. I'm sort of middling, but I've got a lot of respect for them because they treat it like a sport, and they're fair in that they will sort of they play the game as best they can. If you fuck up, tough, it's a competition in the end. If you go to a tournament, it's a competition and stuff, and you just got to accept that. But it is, I have to admit, when they do things like I played a guy called Andy, and like me and him play quite a lot, and he's got his own channel called D6 Evolution, and he wrapped one of my flyers with a bunch of guys, and I was like, right, well, I can disembark, and he's like, no, you can't disembark because you're within X amount of inches. So he rules lowering me, and I was like, oh shit. So I lost. Basically, I lost a bunch of guys. So the next time round, he basically blew up one of my flyers, and it scattered and blew up and killed a bunch of his guys. And I was like, that's justice, my friend. That's justice. But yeah, that's just the way it is, I guess. But yeah, tournaments, man, there's the big thing about them. I did a few articles on it and stuff, and it's just like, basically, if you're going to enter a tournament, you either have to understand, you've got to understand that it's competitive. So if you're getting obliterated by somebody, that's just the way it is. There's no point in being bitter about it. In the end, if you enter a competition, you want to, if you want to play for fun.
It's very rare in this world that you go somewhere and everyone is there just to obliterate. It's not fun, it's not fair, it's nothing, it's what's the nastiest way I can obliterate the person opposite me and win.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's like I like, if I get absolutely trounced, it's not enjoyable. If it's a close match and I lose, I'm happy with that, and again, even if I trounce somebody, I don't, unless it's one of the top table guys, which isn't very often, but it's just like I don't feel good, and I killed this. There was one guy I was playing, and it's my go-to story because it's so amusing, and I forget the guy's name. I see him quite a lot at tournaments and stuff, but he had a list of foot-slogging Dark Angels, and he had Azrael, which gives a 5+ invulnerable save to everything around him in a bubble. So his idea was literally have all of this shit in this bubble, move it forward, and it would be it'd be very hard for me to sort of do any damage because he had all this other stuff that would sort of buff it. I had a what are they called? One of the assassins, the sniper guy. What's he called again? Vindicar. I had a Vindicar assassin, which I've modeled with a pith helmet, so he looks like one of the old sort of like games guys in South African sort of things like that, but to go along with my Praetorian Guard. And he'd done Nafal all tournament. Nafal literally missed every shot, wasn't worth the 85 points I paid for him until that last game. And he basically, first shot of the game, he got a 6. And then when you get a 6, no invulnerable saves can be taken. And once you get a 6, instead of it being D3 damage, it's D6 damage. And I rolled another 6. Killed his character in the first shot of the game to the point where his entire army just disappeared because he had no invulnerable save, he couldn't do anything, and he had the advance towards me, and I just mowed him down, and I felt bad for the guy. As much as it was the best thing that's ever happened to me in a game, I felt bad for him because it was just literally dead, and he gave up after like turn 2 or something. I said, oh man, I can't do anything. And I was just like, I'm so sorry, but that's the coolest thing that's ever happened.
See, that's the best thing about these kind of war games, that everyone has those stories of like, well, this time I had this, like, it was a bunch of warriors, just warriors, and they had the hero with them that gives them poison attacks, and I had a Cambrian War Sphinx charge into them, that had flaming attacks, flaming breath, flaming everything, and pretty much the only thing they had was their armor and ward save, armor and regeneration save, so they wouldn't have had any save from all of the attacks. But I got to attack first, and I think on 12 dice I rolled 9 6s with poison attacks.
So they always hit.
So all of them wounds.
Yeah.
And the thing is toughness 8. So I would have had to roll more 6s to wound it. Just the thing ran in and bounced off. Or the I had a War Shrine, 125-point War Shrine. I gave it the Mark of Zeech, which means it's got a 3-up ward save.
Right.
Put it on the flank, just as it'll hold the flank for a bit. The guy that I'm playing is doing the Elven Dragon. Hit it down the side, was just going to domino his way down. He attacks, gets 3 or 4 wounds through, every single one saved. My guy punches the elf on top of the dragon, manages to slip a single wound through. And because I charged him, I won the fight. He rolls boxcars on leadership, ends up running away, whiffs the running away roll, 125-point War Shrine charges down a more than 1,000-point Elven Lord on a dragon.
It is stuff like that. It is that sort of random stuff that happens, and you're just like, oh my god. And even the best players in the world cannot deal with bad luck. There's always that case of having some sort of bad luck. Generally, it happens to me, but it's good to see that.
Funny enough, though, that kind of thing is why I like Bloodbowl so much at the moment, because you play the game to not roll dice.
Yeah, that's fair.
It sounds ridiculous, but the main strategy of the game is roll less dice than your opponent. Because it doesn't matter how lucky you are, at some point you're going to roll that 1 and things are going to go bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also like the way the kind of structure the rules, if you do roll 1, it's funny. No matter what, if you roll 1, it's funny.
Someone's fallen over or epic tackles have happened. I mean, normally I'll happily roll many 1s when your opponent's rolling what injury they've done to you.
Very true. Yep.
There's I'm in some Blood Bowl groups, and they were having a bit of a moan about basically dirty foils. So basically, at the end of the season, people were literally just fouling other players and stuff just to sort of kind of injure them and stuff. And it's like, but people were arguing, it's like, well, that's not sportsmanship. It's like, yeah, but that's the game. That's a part of the game. And it's just like, yeah, but you're doing it just out of spite, that's it.
Yeah, and the dwarves have a steamroller for the sake of it, and goblins can fire bombs into people.
Yeah,
like that's
Chainsaw Warriors.
Yeah, it's just I got like Blood Bowl. I loved, like, me and my brother used to play it loads when we were kids. Like, one of the first board games I remember getting, the first sort of box game I got, Games Workshop wise, was Space Marine, which is basically epic. We got that from the Games Workshop in Oxford when we were kids. The second one was Blood Bowl from the Virgin Megastore in Belfast, and I remember getting this game, me and my brother bringing it back and just going, oh my god, this is awesome, and like setting it up in the front room, and we were still quite young. And being able to figure it out and play and stuff, but it was just like, loved that game. Just so good, so much fun, easy to play, just great, having loads of fun, just sort of like when shit happens and somebody actually gets killed and you're just like, that's amazing, that's so good.
Yeah. Oh, there goes my star player.
Yeah. It's upsetting when you're in a league. Like, I have had some good players, or even the ones where you get bad injuries and you're just like, oh man, now he's got like a -1 to his agility and stuff. He's so good. Now he's a lame duck, and you're just like, ah. But yeah, it is a really good game, and I'm glad to sort of brought it back.
That's the tournament top of the one of the main things top of my list when the world's back to normal is going to the NAF Blood Bowl World Cup.
Oh wow!
I really want to go. And I'll probably go and not play. If I go and play, I know I'm going to lose horrifically. So I might just go and not play, drink a hell of a lot, and hopefully get a job as their commentator. That'd be amazing.
I've not done too bad when it comes to sort of the tabletop version of it. I've not lost very much. I remember my mate playing SKB, sort of came around. He had a high elf team. and I'm pretty sure I killed like 4 of his guys with my human team. I was just like, I'm sorry, dude. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Just running in goals and stuff, and I was just like, yeah.
There's nothing worse than when you're like, oh look, I've got 3 people of my starting 11 still on the pitch.
Well, it's like we had a mini tournament, and my mate had a Skaven team, and by the end of his first game, he had 2 guys left. Everybody else was either injured or dead, and I was just like, wow, dude, that's kind of special.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, but that's the ridiculous fun of it all, because then you're going to get more petty cash, which means you can bring in star players or a wizard.
Yes.
Are you going to fireball that cage? Probably. The last game that I played, I ended up drawing against orcs. At one point, I had a breakaway, and remember earlier I was talking about the dude who can't run even though he's got sure feet.
Yeah.
He got a breakaway, could have made it 2-1. No, he fell over. Later on, it got down to the final 2 turns. All the dwarf guy had to do was roll more than a 3 to walk over the line. Decided that no, he couldn't do that because that would give me 2 turns and I could score. So waited, which then left 3 of my skinks to go on a suicide mission to take the guy down. It ended up a draw. It was great. At one point, my big guy, the Crocs, got into a good position next to the ball. Didn't last very long. That's when he spent his 150k wizard to lightning bolt the guy down to the floor.
Yeah, it's an amusing game. Like, I used to love in the second edition, all the sort of you had these booklets with all the different teams, and it told you about them and stuff. And remember me and my brother spending long time sort of reading them and stuff. I had an old Chaos All Stars team, and the Dark Side. I had Chaos All Stars, Dark Side Cowboys, and the Reekland Ravers as the 3 teams I had when I was growing up. Now I just stick human. As much as I got lots of teams, I generally just stick human.
I take out Lizardmen, by the way. They are the best team.
I'm not sure if I've got a Lizardman team. I think I've got a Lizardman fantasy army, which I bought at a war boot once, and it's still sort of in its pack. It's really well painted as well.
Yeah, Lizardmen are my boys. I'm going to be honest. I have not really played any other team apart from for fun. And when it comes to playing in leagues, because who doesn't want 6 really big buff lizards punching the way through the opponent's team, while really little annoying things that you don't really give a crap about possibly can do awesome things or die.
Yeah, or die. Yeah.
That's the fun of the game. Lizardmen struggle picking up the ball. It's great.
Yeah, it's just when you're up against some of the undead teams and stuff, and they've just got some horrible things against you, and you're just like, oh, this is going to be painful. This first round is going to be murder. You're just like, ugh.
Or they get that zombie that's got Dirty Player. That it luckily got an MVP leveled up, and so they gave it Dirty Player. So you just got a zombie that's worth, 40k? Just elbow dropping your 140k big guy every turn just to get that extra break in armor. That's how I imagine it, by the way, every time. I just imagine that a zombie shuffles up, turns around, and full on just elbow.
Oops, I fell.
Yeah.
Again.
It'll break eventually.
Yeah. Oh man. Games Workshop, they're definitely doing something special at the minute, to the detriment of my wallet. But there you go.
I think to the detriment of everyone's wallet. Here's my. That's my bag of spare bits. If that gives you any idea of how much crap I have in the box underneath the laptop.
That is but a mere drop in the ocean to my bits boxes. I have literally got. I'm not IKEA.
No, that's just the Bloodbowl bits box.
Oh,
I still have my fantasy bits box.
Oh, right. Okay. Everybody's got a bits box. There's I've got Tupperware, industrial sized Tupperware boxes full of bits and stuff, and it's just
Stupid. I know I'm never going to use any of that. I know I'm never going to use anything.
But you never know, you might, and you will be prepared.
Yeah.
Some point I might break a hand, so I might need one of those random 6 hands that I've got spare.
Well, you see, the way I justify it to myself is, especially now with the new, especially in 40k, the new, with the new sort of Primaris guys and the bigger Marines and stuff. I was like, okay, fine. I've got some Firstborn Space Marine type things here. I'm going to do a diorama. It's going to be like the front of Rogue Trader, where they're all sort of, it's not going to be Crimson Fists, it'll be Space Wolves, but it'll be the same sort of thing. So they'll be all circled around in a mound, fighting off orcs and stuff like that. I've got loads of orcs, I've got loads of guys, I can do that at some point. It's an idea, so I'm like, I'm keeping this because I'll need all those spare bits to do that sort of thing. So, you know, that's my justification for all my bits and pieces.
Yeah, you always just got to save the bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what else floats the proverbial boat then? So when you're not blood bowling, what else is on the?
I mean, I'm currently looking at my 2 tables of games consoles and everything nerdy currently, just being like, which one shall I talk about first?
Okay, so what are the consoles?
I have my PS4, my Switch, and the Wii there. And I think everything else is mothballed upstairs, and I'm currently on my gaming laptop right now.
What are you playing?
I mean, Stellaris took up a large amount of time.
Oh, dude, me and my brother played Stellaris, and I was literally on it just before we came onto this, and I was just like, I need to start playing this again because I've got a load of the DLC which I've not sort of used, and I love that game. I think it's really good.
Yeah. So I got put on Stellaris by a friend of mine, played my first game, and sent him a message that was like, I hate this game, why does anyone play it? What the hell? I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. But then there was something in the back of my mind that was like, maybe I'll give it another go. And by the end of that one, I was like, I still hate this game, but I'm determined to beat it. And then by the end of the next game, where I got to the end of the final crisis and beat the final crisis, and was like,
What was your final crisis? What was it? The interdimensional guys, or was it the?
The first final crisis was the weird eyeball brain bug things that just arrive at one corner and start infecting everything.
Right. Okay.
Which was great because I was at war at the time with the guys that it landed in.
Oh, right. Okay. So it helped you.
So my border was already thoroughly fortified. And it wasn't until I realized just how quickly they were sweeping across the rest of the AI. I was like, maybe I should do a thing about this and not just defend.
Yeah. Me and my brother had a quite prolonged campaign where we joined forces, and it was the interdimensional sort of beings that came in, and they started sort of like basically just wiping out the other side of the map. And we initially did some attacks, and we were getting absolutely having our asses handed to it. And it was like, what the fuck? Nothing destroys these things. And we realized that you had to retrofit all of your ships with weapons that ignored shields and stuff because of the way they were. So, they have these sort of things. You couldn't just buy ships, run them in. You had to sort of fight to the weaknesses and stuff, and when we realized that, things became slightly easier. But it was just like we were getting absolutely destroyed by this thing, and it got to the point where you were just having to make friends with people who'd been pissing you off the entire game, because you're just like, in the end, if we don't, this thing's gonna fucking wipe all of us out and stuff.
I did have the robot uprising once.
Oh, really?
I've got to admit, it was my least favorite. I found it really annoying because I'd had robots kind of in the background. I'd not been a very robot-heavy race, but every decision that came through, I'd always picked the, like, give robots rights, make they are people, everything. And then suddenly it was just like, oh, by the way, half your stuff's dead, bye.
Oh, right, okay.
Yay.
I was always a bit iffy about having robots and stuff, because I'm the same. I was like, yeah, let's give them rights, and I'm like, there's going to be uprisings, and I'm just like, yeah. And there's new races like effectively like Necrontiers and stuff, where there's basically they thrive off death and stuff. So I'd be interested in that. Plus, there's like megacorps. You can have you can do a thing where you
you can just be a big corporation.
Yeah.
My personal favorite's the robot one.
All right, the robot one.
Just playing the robots.
Yeah.
Because you can basically play the Borg.
Right.
Cool.
Because it's just you land on their planet and start assimilating the population into robot people, which is hilarious because you're not technically hated by everyone because you're not evil robots, but you are evil robots. You can play evil robots that literally will not talk to anyone that is synthetic, that isn't synthetic, and you can also play. It's like a custodial unit that's gone wrong.
Right.
So your first planet has populations of a species, but they've essentially created you to take care of them, and you've just kind of gone out into the universe and gone, okay, by taking care of my guys, they mean take care of everyone else.
That's awesome. That's really good. Yeah, it's a really in-depth game. Like the Paradox games, you know, a lot of them are super complicated. Like we tried Crusader Kings, and it just like it went completely over my head. I like complicated stuff, but it was just like, yeah, I can't deal with this game. But the fact with Stellaris is because you start off with nothing and you expand and you learn as you expand, and I think that's where the sort of it's easier to sort of kind of get your head around. Whereas a lot of their other games, your empires are already there, and it's like there's stuff.
Have you played BattleTech at all by Paradox?
No, I don't think I have actually.
That's basically it's a bit like XCOM, but with giant mechs.
All right, okay, yeah.
And it's very tactical rather than mass strategy.
Yeah.
Side point though, XCOM, great game.
Oh yes, and XCOM 2, equally good.
Yeah.
Have you played Phoenix Point?
I've not actually. No.
It's by the guy that originally created the XCOM games back in the 80s.
Right.
And it's very similar, very structurally and technically, like mechanically similar. You know, all units. You know, go around a board. You've got so many units, but it's kind of learned. It's 30 years of like experience brought into a new game. It's tough as hell. It really is real grind tough, but it's really well done. It never feels unfair. You never feel this game is kind of just like. Using the rules against it.
Funny enough, parts of XCOM 2 did.
Yeah. Oh yes.
The bloody what were they called? Emperor things or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Where they were like, oh, by the way, they get a full turn every time you take half a turn. Yeah.
Not Revenge of the Fallen. No, that was something else completely. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, the boss enemies that literally you're like, oh, well, I get to move here. Oh, it gets to move. Oh, I get to move here. Oh, it gets to shoot. Oh, well, I get to move here. Oh, it gets to shoot again. Yeah.
I played the original games in the 80s, but I've not played any of the recent XCOM games.
They are very good, actually. They're very, very good.
I'd say get the first one to begin with, and get the DLC. It's Enemy Unknown and Enemy Within.
Enemy Within is better because Enemy Within is basically all the idea. Enemy Within all the DLC, and you get like cybernetics, and you get like all these missions to send off one of your guys into. So basically, I've got a sniper, but I just leveled up with all the cybernetics I could. He was just unstoppable.
Yeah, give a sniper cybernetic eyes and a flying armor,
and the plasma pistol, and he's just like. Yeah, he's fine. I don't need to send in any kind of extraction team. He'll sort it out.
So, funnily enough, there's a game that I held off playing quite a while. I just didn't really want to get into it. I've started playing it recently, and I've played all of about, I don't know, maybe 30 hours in the last day. Death Stranding.
Oh, yeah. It's heard of a walkabout simulator, basically, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't understand how they have managed to make being a delivery boy so fun.
Really?
Genuinely. It took me a little bit to get into it, but once you get it, like, balancing is a thing. You have to hold two triggers if you want to balance every now and then while you're walking over rocks. Yeah. And, yeah, like, I finished building a road between two places, and I've never had a rush from building a road. The best thing that happened today, you can now build zip lines where you just build two things, and if they're less than 300 meters apart, you've got a zip line. Great. I'd built a great zip line network across a good chunk of the map that I was on at the moment, I then had to do a mission across a mountain, realized if I crossed the mountain, I could build a zip line that took me from the top of the mountain back to where I built my zipline network. So it took me straight back to where I needed to be. I have never felt like more of a boss when I'm ziplining across miles of land that would have taken me hours to walk across.
What's the sort of like? I'm not a PlayStation person, so I don't think I'll ever play it. But what's the sort of kind of what's the score with the ghosty type things and the baby in a jar?
I mean,
this is Hideo Kojima, Matt. Just to this is Hideo.
Essentially, from what I understand, don't quote me on it. They're essentially dead people that have as far as I can tell, death has become more of a tangible thing that people understand.
Oh, okay.
So they're dead people that have come back into this world.
All right, okay.
And they're trying to basically pull you into the dead world.
Right, okay.
The easiest, simplest way. And the baby, as dark as it sounds, is actually the baby of a dead mother. So the baby is between the living and the dead world.
Right, okay.
And because it's living but has a connection to the dead, it can control your little arm thing and detect where the BTs are, the dead people.
Right.
It's all very, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly.
Hideo Kojima.
So a game can be enjoyable. It makes sense in gameplay terms. It's funny that they tried to put a story next to it.
Yeah, basically, remember how weird Metal Gear Solid got at the end? Now just keep ramping up that weirdness. Because Hideo Kojima's without any form.
You know what, though? Even in the weirdness, there's some really nice, touching moments in it.
Yeah. Again, Hideo Kojima.
Yeah. So, spoiler warning. If anyone's listening and wants to spoil, I don't know, skip on about 30 seconds. I'll make a weird noise when it is. There's a character in it called Mama. And you find out that she was trapped in a blast while she was pregnant. She gave birth to a stillborn baby, but came back linked to her as a BT. So she's had to stay in this one area caring for what is essentially a dead baby, but is a BT. And she asks you to cut the cord. And it sounds like it's ridiculous, and it should be ridiculous. And the whole story behind it is just what the hell is happening, but it's such a moving moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other games that sort of give you the feels? Have you ever had a game where you just gone, oh, that sort of got me right here, man?
Ooh, you're pushing my memory now. I have to think about that and come back to it.
Yeah,
there definitely is like, oh no. I mean, I'm a massive Mass Effect fan.
All right, okay. We've got the remastered's coming out soon.
Yeah.
Yes. Which I will probably waste more of my life playing.
This is going to be a controversial question. Is there any point playing the Mass Effect Legendary Editions when we already experienced the original storyline 10 plus years ago? Because the storyline not changed, it's just the graphics have been better, and there's all the DLC embedded in the release.
No multiplayer, apparently.
No multiplayer. So.
Oh, really?
No multiplayer.
No multiplayer.
Apparently, yeah.
No.
I thoroughly enjoyed Mass Effect 3's multiplayer.
Yeah, it's just the campaign, apparently.
It's just the story.
Yeah.
Then no. You need good graphics. I'm going to be honest. It's not what people want to hear, I'm sure, but no. If it's just good graphics, go play the old games, man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You don't need good graphics.
That was my point.
Okay, unless they've changed Mass Effect 1's gameplay to
think
make it less like running through treacle to get up to speed. But no, I think just play through the story and then stop about 10 minutes from the end and make up your final ending, because it will be better than how it ended.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, red, blue, or white.
Funnily enough, I was reading a thing and I can't believe I missed it. Do you know when that came out? Someone sent over 1,000 cupcakes to their head office in red, blue, and green, but all of them were vanilla cupcakes with vanilla icing. Because whatever color you chose, it was the same thing, really.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Inspired.
That was inspired, yeah. Man.
What are your guys' opinions on VR?
Makes me feel sick.
Potentially to be good. I've just not yet seen a game that you can really take full advantage. However, said that, I have heard X-Wing Squadrons in VR is very good.
What is it? Elite, and obviously games like space games. Apparently, it's a lot better and stuff because it's a lot more.
Of it.
Yeah, it's more immersive.
I will give you two games that confirmed to me that VR is there and will be on the way very soon to getting even better.
Is Alex one of them? Half-Life Alex?
No, I've not played that. No.
Okay.
So, Beat Saber.
Yeah, I've played that.
I've heard good things about that.
Because it's Dance Dance Revolution, but with lightsabers.
Can't deal with it, man. It boggles my mind. I'm just like flapping around like going.
I mean, I'm quite proud. A few days ago, I finished experting all of the songs in the first 2 song packs.
Wow.
I'm quite proud. I'm going to be honest. But just the sheer enjoyment that you can get out of flapping lightsabers around. And also Super Hot.
Super Hot.
Not heard that one actually.
So Super Hot it is you can just play it on a console. There is a console version of it, but it's built for VR. The premise of the game is time only moves when you do.
Oh yes, yes, I do know it now. Yeah.
So if you're stood completely still, time doesn't move.
Yeah.
And if you reach slowly for a gun or reach slowly for a knife, they start moving, so you can slowly watch bullets pass you by and just feel like an absolute boss.
It's basically permanent bullet time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just.
Some of the horror games are meant to be absolutely terrifying. Like I've played, what's it called? Something at Freddy's.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, I took a girl on a date to Deansgate in Manchester, and they have a VR sort of thing, and I thought, that'd be a good sort of thing to do, and we did that, Five Nights at Freddy's, and I don't believe in any of that stuff, but I was freaking out. These things were like, suddenly you're sitting there, they're on the camera, and then they're not, and then they're beside you, and you've got to slam the door shut. I was bricking it to the point where it's like, look, dude, I can't deal with any of this horror shit. I'm such a pansy, so let's not do that.
I do think it's a whole nother level to horror.
Yeah.
Because we've always been able to shut our eyes, turn away, turn the TV off kind of thing.
Or even just look to the side.
When it's there.
Yeah.
And it's in 3D as well.
Yeah.
I've not played it myself, but I've heard great things. The new Resident Evil. Is it Resident Evil 6? The one where they're in, or is it 7? Because I think
there's Village.
Be 7. I think it must be 7 then. The one where they're in the house with all the hillbillies.
Yeah, that's 7.
Yeah, I've heard fantastic things about the VR of that. It is essentially just the game in VR, and it's fantastic.
There's one called Ghost Hunter or Ghost Hunting or something like that, and it's meant to be like you're literally a ghost hunter, and you have to do certain things, and then the ghost he basically does shit to you, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know if I could deal with that, I'd freak out and can't deal with it. I remember one of the guys who sort of used to do stuff for us, we went to Play Expo, and he was doing one of the horror games. He fucking literally shot himself. We were sitting there in the middle of this sort of convention center, this thing, and something jumped on me. Fuck! And it just sort of dove to the ground. And it was hilarious watching him, but it was just he said it was super scary. But yeah, makes me feel slightly sick. Just because I wear glasses as well, so obviously it makes me feel a bit nauseous.
The only time I've ever felt sick playing VR was I borrowed a friend's the VR gun that they sold for PS, because I'm PSVR. I borrowed a friend's gun that they had, and it was a first-person shooter where you just had your little stick to move you around. And I got about 10 minutes in and was just like, what?
Gosha's nuts. Other half.
Yeah, sorry, my dog's kicking off outside. The neighbors, the neighbor have a baby. Now my dog is a guard dog, pretty much, and he wants to live outside all the time. But he fucking barks in the evening when he sees anything, and so when we need to get him in before he wakes up their child, so he's sort of barking away. So she's upstairs, running downstairs, making sure he does, he comes in and stuff. But whereas yours is just sitting there. Amongst
She has destroyed her birthday balloon and now asleep.
Sorry, yes. So yeah, I think there is a bit of you need to be careful with VR a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, we need walking rigs before we can do proper first-person shooters.
Yeah,
I've seen
that
some
aren't just teleporting around.
Yeah, I've seen some of the ones where they have like treadmill type things, three dimension, 360 treadmills, so you can kind of go around like that. And I saw a really good, I can't remember what it was, but it must have been like the Gadget Show or something, where they did that. They had like a 360 treadmill, but they also had paintball guns circling all of the things. So basically, whenever you got shot in the game, it set off a paintball gun, so you would get shot in real life. And he says, it made you really, instead of just running around, taking damage, you were being very, very careful, so you wouldn't get shot.
Don't give them like, I don't know, a jacket with a few little electrodes on. That'd be good. Like a really minor electric shock. That would be cool. Yeah, that would be a great way of doing it. You put on a jacket so you can tell whether you've been shot on the sides, back, front kind of thing. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
No, paintball guns.
Yeah, well, it's like Ready Player One, isn't it? So you got the suits that sort of kind of give you that feeling of damage, basically.
Haptics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The great. Yeah, that's the thing that we need next.
Yeah, it is. But again, I'd love to sort of. I've always wanted VR, but again, every time I'm on it, it does make me feel really nauseous and stuff. And it's like I can't really do it with my glasses on, which means I have to take my glasses off. And when I take my glasses off, I get a bit nauseous anyway and stuff. So it's just one of those things that I don't think I'll ever sort of get into. I've got a lot of friends who use them and stuff, but not for me, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I've heard like very good things about Half-Life Alyx, which is like Steam's VR game set in the Half-Life universe.
Yeah, it's Half-Life 3 that's not Half-Life 3.
Yeah. I'm still waiting. I mean, they've said there's going to be no Half-Life 3. Well, there's going to be no Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
Yeah.
But they keep saying no Half-Life 3, but come on, guys, come on.
I don't understand why they don't do it. There's so many things. It's just like everybody's crying out for it and they won't do it.
Basically.
It's at the stage now where pretty much whatever they do
is not
unless they like saying they have to knock it out the park is an understatement. They have to knock it out of the solar system for it to be up to hype now.
Yeah, kind of like Cyberpunk 20.
That and also they are like basically a platform now. They're no longer developers, they are basically a platform. Yeah. And also, I mean, if you look at like Cyberpunk 2077, that was hyped and hyped and hyped and hyped for 7 years.
Yeah.
And then released not in the best state, really.
Yeah, I almost felt sorry for CD Projekt Red because it seemed like the hype that they were getting wasn't fully down to them. They just got so much hype so quickly for the game. And then they tried the hardest they could to apply the brakes of like, it's not ready and we need more time. That it was bound to run into a wall of, it's not everything. It's not Witcher 3, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. I've got to get going. Something's come up. So I'm really going to say bye-bye, everyone. And Mitch, come up with the kiddies. I'll be soon.
Okay. See you later, Pete. So it's just me and you then.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm sure I can wait. How long does this normally go for, by the way?
It's pretty much. We'll probably end it now-ish. Now we can go on between anything between an hour and 2 hours. 2 hours 30, I think, is the longest we've had before and stuff. But if we're gone, we'll probably count that as fate dangling in front of us, and probably leave it there as a good point. Before we go though, is there anything you got that you want to pimp, push, anything like that?
Like my Instagram, it's Jimcredible.
It's
no, I mean the best thing you can do is if you're a nerd who enjoys nightlife with all of your things, come to Sci-Fi Weekender when it's open again. We are also probably doing Sci-Fi in the Sky 2, which is our like online version of it. It's on Twitch, so have a look for Sci-Fi in the Sky on Twitch and you'll see us there, and you'll probably see me talking absolute nonsense for the whole day and a few entertaining acts and things like that. But in terms of selling things, not much at the moment, if I'm honest, because the whole world shut down, isn't it?
It is. It's absolutely depressing. Like, to be honest, like as it is, I don't mind being locked in the house. I'm a nerd, so I've got loads of hobbies, so it doesn't bother me. But it is getting to a point where we're verging on a year of lockdown, and you're like, I wouldn't mind just going out somewhere, at some point and stuff.
Yeah, just going, should we nip for a pint? Yeah, okay, let's do it.
Oh, he's back. You're back.
I am. So yep.
Is everything okay?
As much as it is, but we are going to need to finish it up fairly soon, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, we were just about to say we were just about to say goodbye now anyway, and then you popped on. But yeah, we're just saying, like with COVID, we just want to go now. Just want, as much as I like having I love working from home. It's awesome. That floats my boat loads. But I just want to go out. Just want to do something with my mates and stuff like that. And
as we all.
For me, it's more of if anyone's doing anything online and they want someone to try and make it fun, drop me a message. It's what I do. Make things fun.
That is very true.
If you join the Sci-Fi Weekender page, every now and then when I get particularly bored, I do my very own personal blend of quiz, which involves lots of silliness and at least a couple of hours of random fun times and whatever. But I don't really have a set program for when I do that. It's just when I can get around to doing it.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, join the Sci-Fi Weekender page. Come to Sci-Fi Weekender. That's absolutely.
Cool. Right. Okay. We'll leave it there so Pete can rush off. Adam, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you very much for joining us. Oh, sorry, we've got a couple of messages which I have ignorantly missed on YouTube. Urban Tripper said, "We have met so many amazing people as the Urban Trippers and made lifelong friends. No event could ever beat the Sci-Fi Weekender. The next one is going to be something to look forward to." And then he says, "Can we get a shout out to Rod Munch and Geek Store?" Rod Munch, a Geek Store. Yeah, sorry. Can we get a shout out to Rod Munch? Check him out, guys. Much appreciated. Thanks a lot, Urban Trooper, for the comments. Much appreciated. And Adam, thank you very much. It's been super interesting. I love the fact that you're a fellow Games Workshop nerd. That makes me happy. I'd like to say it's not often I get to talk about this shit, but more so than not, recently I get to talk about it a lot. So it's.
If you ever want to talk about it more, just drop me a message.
Yes,
I think Games Workshop nerds. I could talk about it for many more hours.
Okay, so for me, I've been Matt Geary. With me has been Peter Ray Ellison.
Good night, everyone, and take care of each other.
And Adam Colclough.
See you guys.
Cheers. Bye.